Men all across China and India must be wondering, where have all the women gone? Well, the answer is more obvious than many care to admit. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. This is Breakpoint. Nearly 30 years ago, Nobel Laureate Amartya Sen wrote an essay in the New York Review of Books entitled, "More than 100 million women are missing." Well, Sen didn't mean missing as in missing person. What he meant is that in places like China and his native India, there are more than 100 million fewer women than demographic trends suggested there should be. 2 decades later, journalist Mara Hvistendahl wrote Unnatural Selection, Choosing Boys Over Girls and the Consequences of a World Full of Men. By the time of the book's publication, the estimate of missing women had grown to 160 million. Well, the elephant in the room behind this terrible trend is abortion. Demographers and other researchers first thought that the explanation must be that female infanticide, the kind practiced in the ancient world, had somehow made a comeback. But instead, they discovered that female children were being identified in utero via amniocentesis or ultrasound, and then they were aborted. The combination of technology, preference for male children, governmental policies such as China's infamous one-child policy, and legalized abortion had altered demographics from China to Albania. Still, researchers downplayed this connection between abortion and the 100 million plus missing women. Hvistendahl, for example, placed far more emphasis on cultural attitudes and discrimination against women. While these factors certainly play a role in the gender imbalance, without easy access to abortion, this problem wouldn't exist, at least not in its present form. A recent study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences makes the connection between abortion and gender imbalance and makes it explicitly. Researchers from Britain concluded that between 1970 and 2017, sex-selective abortions resulted in about 23.1 million missing baby girls. Where, according to a demographer from the American Enterprise Institute, that number seems a bit low. In China and India alone, men outnumber women by 70 million. The Chinese Academy of Social Sciences has estimated that by next year, 24 million Chinese men of marriageable age will be unable to find a spouse. And since mortality rates are so much higher for men than women in the first place, either Chinese and Indian women are just exceptionally unlucky, or as is more likely, the lion's share of that 70-plus million represents women who were killed as the result of sex-selective abortion. And that's why both China and India have done what the U.S. has not: outlaw sex-selective abortion. While their laws are honored more in the breach than in observance, at least China and India have acknowledged the problem. The cultural preference for boys and systemic discrimination against girls is nothing new, but the radical gender imbalance in places like China and India is. And not coincidentally, that imbalance emerged just as abortion became readily available in the 1970s. To put it bluntly, legal abortion made it easier to eliminate unwanted daughters. To put it even more bluntly, gendercide isn't the result of people having abortions for wrong reasons. It's the result of abortion itself. And though a sexist act of violence halfway around the world should be just as intolerable to us as if it were happening in our own backyard, make no mistake, elective abortion leads to sex-selective abortion, and it's happening in America too. Of course, getting abortion rights advocates to acknowledge this is like trying to swim against the current of the Ganges from the Bay of Bengal to its source in the Himalayas. Good luck with that. Still, the savage truth is, hundreds of millions of missing women is the price we've paid for legalized abortion. It's the elephant in the room, and it isn't going anywhere. For Breakpoint, I'm John Stonestreet.